Hello.
Morning.
Back in old PowerTech here. I think it's going to be old PowerTech. Let's see. What a mess, eh?
It's a mess right now.
What a mess.
Construction out there.
I know.
Kind of stuff all
I
over
couldn't
the
even
place.
couldn't even pull into the driveway. There's a truck blocking the driveway.
Good thing I drive in a big rig.
No, I know. What are you going to do to get out? You're going to drive over the curb?
Right over the curb.
No.
Why?
I feel like I just got the car that I have now, like a little while back. I'm thinking now already, like, should I got a truck?
Yeah, you're good.
It's
You got a long life.
True. It's just useful. Like,
Trucks are good. Trucks are...
I don't have a lot to haul.
Yeah.
But gas guzzler.
That's the gas. If you get to travel at all, the gas is a pain in the ass. If you don't, then it's not too bad.
Did you see Dan just bought a Cybertruck?
What's a Cybertruck? I don't know what that is.
Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I
For
didn't know.
BioSteel.
No, I didn't know.
Have you seen this
No.
thing? Have you ever seen what it looks like?
No.
Cybertruck. I have to show you. It's actually worth it.
Okay.
So I still have to I have to ask why, like, if it's just going to be a marketing thing. Anyways, so yeah, kind of funny.
It's well,
Beast.
different. It doesn't look like a truck when
No. I think they're
the
so
lid's
cool
up.
though. It's the Cybertruck is a controversial
Why is that?
item. I don't know. People just like to argue about shit. I don't know. But it's like you got a camp of everyone's like, oh, it's shit. Like, no, the battery doesn't last, or it like breaks down a lot, or like what you're gonna have to repair it all the time and whatever. And then other people are like, it's the best thing ever. Blah.
Yeah. Well, that's the argument with the electric, right?
Right.
I know my mother-in-law has a Mustang. I don't know what flavor it is, but it's
The
electric.
Mach-E.
Yeah. And I took it around the block once,
Oh,
and I'm
did
like, oh yeah,
It's
just
nice,
around
eh?
the block. But
They
it's
boot.
got some zip.
Yeah, they boot.
It's got some
They go
zip.
quick.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
nice.
they're
But
cool.
yeah, like I don't know how far you can go. There's been mixed reviews, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
some
exactly.
people say you can't drive.
A lot of
especially in the
people have them,
wintertime.
man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are having them, getting them now. So.
I would think that maybe that Elon Musk fella, when he invented the electric vehicle, it would get you to like a decent, get you decent mileage. No.
Yeah, like if the main issue that people argue about is that there's not enough infrastructure to charge along the way to where you're going.
For sure.
So if you can get like a 300-mile range on it, at a maximum in ideal conditions, it's like, okay, so in 200 miles, maybe on the highway, stop and start, I have to charge it. Now I have to find somewhere to charge it. Are there enough charging stations? Like all this kind of shit. So like that's the main beef, kind of. But like more and more infrastructure is coming out from what I see. I don't know. Makes sense.
Would you want an electric?
Oh yeah,
vehicle?
I debated it to get it for the front instead of the one I got. I actually debated like getting a
What?
Tesla. Yeah.
Well, because you're not hitting the highway.
Not really. Like so, like
as of right now.
yeah, because Christine has she's got a
You're Christine or mine?
mine.
Okay.
She has she has a car like
No,
that's
weird. We got the same.
I know, it is weird. I know. But she's got one we could take it to gas, like whatever. So if we had to go on road trips, we could take hers. And then I'm just driving here to there. Like I literally drive 10 to 15 minutes a day and park, and then I'm there, same spot the whole day. But anywhom, I thought that was funny. So they bought that for BioSteel. So I'm going to see if they're going to wrap it and like turn it into like a marketing thing, which is pretty sweet. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the PowerTech online membership program. If you've been listening to Andy and I wondering, hey, how are they able to get all this podcast content out there? Well, that's because of our members. For just $9.99 a month, you can get access to our online video library, including hundreds of videos of Coach Andy teaching, and have the option for consultation calls with Andy or myself to go over anything you need. We can cover training, nutrition, coaching, parenting, agents, the junior college hockey path, whatever's of interest to you. You'll also be able to participate in our popular Ask Me Anything episodes, have access to special discount codes, and be given priority for any PowerTech in-person camps or events. If you like what we're doing here and you want to support us, this is the best way to do it. Visit powertechhockey.ca/memberships or find the link in the description of this video to learn more. Anyhow, so today I wanted to talk to you about a relevant and current issue that I'm not even an issue, a topic that I'm coming across. And we're getting to main camps. And so that would be for OHL main camps are coming up. Jr.B main camps are over the next couple weekends. Jr.C main camps are in a few weeks also, or a week. So kids are starting to have to make decisions. The U18 AAA kids, the younger AAA stuff is already done. They have their teams picked. So this would be a little bit more relevant for the older kids now.
Older youth hockey.
Older youth hockey and junior, like
Okay.
into junior.
Yeah.
But more relevant for them, but same kind of decision making process for younger kids as well. I think it's less important for younger kids, but and that's deciding or how to decide where you want to play, assuming you have options. Assuming you have options. Some kids won't have options, but if you do, how do you judge where to play, what league to play in, what team to play on, and finding a place? Because as you get older, obviously it gets more competitive. Things start to funnel, and now it's not just a given that you're going to be on the AAA team next year. It's like it's much more competitive, and there's way fewer spots. So for if we put ourselves in like the U18 situation, because I feel like they have the most unknowns on deciding where they're going to play, I'm going to kind of frame the conversation for that kind of target audience, but you can extend it out to whichever way you want, just when we're talking about it. Let's say generally speaking for you, what are like some of the main factors that would go into your decision? So if you got a kid that's U18 and they need to pick a place to play, we'll talk for our area. And then if we know enough about other areas, we can maybe mention that as well. But like, what are some of the factors that are going to lead you to make a choice whether to play U18, Jr.C, Jr.B, Jr.A, OHL, whatever? What factors? And then I have a couple examples like specifically that we can talk about after that.
Well, it's a loaded question.
Yeah,
because
take a factor at a time.
Here's why. Because you got, what level of hockey player is your son? That's number one. Like, what level is he? Number two, what options are like I'm always a big believer that when if you're a good player, you will have an idea where you can go based on people reaching out to you. Do you know what I mean? So like if you're a U16 player, like so we're talking OHL here, Canadian, Ontario, right? If you're a 15-year-old player going to your 16-year-old year, your OHL draft, if you don't have like the top end agents kind of knocking on your door, okay, that's an indicator that you're not a really high priority player. If you have like the second tier agents coming at you a little bit, then that's an indication that, you know, you're on the radar for some people. If you have Jr.B teams and if you have a lot of interviews or a lot of teams reaching out and actually having conversations with you, you have a pretty good indication, okay, like I might be an OHL player or close to it. So therefore, my decision would be, I want to play at the highest level, you know, see what happens in the OHL draft, but I want to go to the highest level because I'm on that edge. But your decision making is not quite as difficult, because if you're drafted in the let's say even the 5th or 6th or 7th round to the, you know, Sarnia Sting. Why did I choose Sarnia today? Weird, huh? So you choose your 5th or 7th round or 9th round to the Sarnia Sting. Let's say the 7th round or 5th, 5 or 7. Then that means like 7 times. You're in the top 150 ish, 120 ish in Ontario. So that means you got a higher likelihood of getting an invite to a Jr.B, Jr.C, whatever, right? So and then obviously you can play U18 because you're one of the top guys. So your options are more. So that's one thing. So now if you go down to the next layer of people, then your options are not going to be like, it's just the way it is. Every junior team, or the Ontario Hockey League or the CHL is allowed to assign 4 players to their roster, like to play. 16-year-olds, right? I believe that 4 is the max that you can have playing in one game. So if you're not a top 16-year-old, obviously that's not that. So the next level of junior is you have Junior A or Junior B or Junior. I don't know what Junior C is, but Junior A, Junior B, you're allowed 1. So if you have 4 teams in the area, and you're not the definitive top 4 or 5 guys, you're not playing. So your options are just, it just kind of goes down, right? So to me, like the higher level of the player, the more options you're going to have. And then as you start filtering down to the second tier, the bottom third of your team, then you have to look at what's best for you for development if you want to develop as a player. So then that's the next question is, what do I want to do? Do I want to be a hockey player? Do I want to try to pursue hockey? Or do I just want to have fun? And that weighs in a lot of decisions as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So do you think that when you're trying to gauge let's say the level that you're going to play at, assuming you have the choice, like how much do you factor in the realistic part? So like a lot of people talk about, well, is it like you need to be realistic. Are you going to actually make this team in this place? So if you're talking about going to a Jr.B camp and they have one 16-year-old spot, and you know that there's going to be a couple of draft picks getting there, maybe they're affiliated with an OHL team. The ones that we have here, one of them is with the one junior A team's kind of with Flint, one's kind of with Saginaw, the other one's kind of with the Windsor Spitfires. So you know that they're going to have some influence on which 16-year-olds are going to go there, yada
Totally.
yada. So how much of that? Um, I'm gonna just to interrupt myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start higher level and then work our way down to like AAA and all that. So how much does the realistic question play into your decision making on how seriously you pursue a certain option? So if let's say I'm going to go to, I'll use a team from our area, the Chatham Maroons, for example. They're affiliated with Saginaw. So you know that Saginaw is likely going to tell a couple kids to go play there that they drafted in their rounds. Maybe they won't, but you know that that's a
No,
possibility.
like 99% because they want to make sure that their top prospects are in a good league.
Right.
For sure.
So if I know that and I'm not one of those guys, but Chatham is inviting me to this and they say to keep coming to my skates and keep coming to our main camp and all this, how seriously do I take that as a player when I know from the realistic question that it's probably pretty unlikely that I'm going to make that team? So how do I approach that opportunity?
I mean, you want to take every opportunity, obviously. And now this is a double-edged sword. So we're gonna get some people saying you're quitting on yourself, and if I go the opposite way, people
Yeah,
say
yeah,
you're being
I know.
unrealistic.
I know.
And so, but we're talking the world of reality. The reality is I mean, I don't have a problem with someone going out to get the experience and working hard and saying like make it tough on them to say, well, I like this kid, right? But the reality is there are certain things that are out of your control, and if the Saginaw Spirits are and the Chatham Maroons have that relationship, like we will send you our top prospects to develop because we want to build that relationship, and that's the relationship, then you do not have a chance, basically, and that's to say you don't have a chance. There's a chance, but it's slim and none. So that's just reality. Now you can go out there and make it so difficult, and you can make it so difficult and be so good that maybe you can change that. But
or get like a AP spot or secure a spot for later or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the reality. You're probably not going to play there. But I would go out there and do it for the experience and test yourself and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't have any high expectations. My expectations would be like there's no chance. It's like being a like in the OHL, right? If you're drafted in the first round, you will play. If you get drafted in the second round, your odds go down quite a bit depending on the cycle of that team's building. Third rounders, like I mean, in London Knights and a few teams, if you're second round, you're probably not playing, or you're playing a little bit. If you're a third rounder, it goes down even a little bit more. So, anyways, that's just the reality. You're not getting the chance because you need to develop. So the next mind frame you should have is where if I want to be a hockey player and get to a certain goal in a year or two or three, then it's where am I going to develop the best?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
So then these are kind of two questions now getting down like towards if you're going to go back to play U18 AAA versus Jr.C, a little bit still maybe Jr.B's in the conversation there. How important is it that you play on a good team?
It's not important
Because this,
but
okay,
it is.
Yeah, okay, because this is the most one of the most common things I'm hearing right now, like going through all this stuff with the academy and like with kids talking about going to camps and all this stuff, is a lot of them will say, well, I want to make sure that I'm on a good team because if I play for a team that loses 10-0 every game, then like who's coming to watch that team, or how am I going to get any exposure if I'm playing on a team that's no good? So what are your thoughts on that kind of I guess mindset in factoring into your decision making on what team to play for?
I think what factors into that also is what are your other options, right? So what if your other options are okay? So you got U18 in academy and Jr.C and maybe Jr.B. Is that all lumped together?
Yeah,
Kinda. Okay,
yeah.
so if you can play Jr.B or AP with Jr.B or get 3 shifts a game, that's not the best, right? So I wouldn't want to do that necessarily. Jr.C to me is like no, but if I want to grow into being a hockey player, maybe a goalie can get an outside. Like the very odd person comes from Jr.C and has a good development year. So unless I'm a goalie, maybe that's a little bit different. But Jr.C would be out of the question just because of the mentality. It's the atmosphere. Growing up in that culture is not the best, and I'm not carving and cutting up the kids or the thing. It's just the reality. The seriousness of developing into a hockey player at that point is not the same. So I would eliminate that, and now you got the choice of being, if you have that option in your area, um, U18 versus an academy, right? So to me now it's about like, does it matter how good the team is? It's like I guess you'd never know how good the team is going to be anyways. U18 was designed, like the to have that U18 program was designed. They had the U18 draft in the OHL. It was designed to keep people in youth hockey. And are there kids that get drafted out of it and play in the OHL? There's a few here and there, not what you would expect, right? It's a marketing tool to keep guys in there. But there are guys that make it and they do very well. So it's not the end of the world. Um, so now, so here's my thing. Is it about, obviously no one wants to play on a team that's losing 10-0 every game. Like, that's, to me, that's pretty obvious. But I don't know if I want to be on a team that wins 10-0 every game too. You know what I mean? That's not good. So I think the hardest thing to do when you're doing something is making this decisions that are asking the tough questions or the honest questions, right? And it's like, what do I want out of hockey? Like, what do I truly want out of hockey? So if you're wanting to have fun, like if you're, and God bless the kids that are playing just to have fun. That's awesome. Like, that's actually what hockey's about, is to have fun. But if, like, what I mean by that is if you don't feel like, no, I want to play college level hockey one day, or be a great Jr.B or Jr.A player. If you're not looking at that, then it doesn't. Then it's about where my friends are, and I don't want to commit to working out all the time and doing video and stuff. So that program, whether it's an academy or U18, can kind of dictate that. Just because you're an academy doesn't mean it's done right. And just because you're a U18 team with whatever doesn't mean it's done right either. So I would look at that. So if you're here to have fun and to go with your friends, that to me would be more. That would sound more like a U18. And I'm not saying you can't be serious on that at all. I'm not saying that at all. But because from the development side, what do you get out of traditional youth hockey? And this is what people have been complaining and bitching about forever, is that, like, especially in this type of area, or most areas in Ontario, is that if I live in this area, I have to play for this team. I have no choice. So people have bitched about that forever. You get to, here's your coach. This is your only. You don't have an option. This is your coach. This is the program. You practice twice a week. You practice at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. That's not optimal for anybody. And you play your games on whatever the weekends, and it's a little bit closer, so that's a benefit. But you're practicing twice a week at late at night. That, to me, that's not great. Whereas you flip it to the academy program, I would assume that the kids that are going to academies at that level are pursuing hockey to develop, because you're on the ice basically 4 or 5 times a week, right? You have a development side. Like, anyways, the one we're doing is you have a development side, and then you have practices. It's done early in the day through your school day. It doesn't interrupt your life. You can still have a life, and you have a fitness program in it. You have good quality coaches typically, right? And then you play in wherever you play. And it sounds like, from a development standpoint, that would be good. But then my decision on that would be like, who is coaching, and not who's on the team. Well, to a point. I mean, if you got if you're the guy coming over and you got 16 guys that played house league on the orange team for Shoppers Drug Mart, yeah, I'm not going, right? But if you have legit guys that played, a mixed bag of guys, and you got a mixed age and everything like that, then it sounds like a pretty good option, right? Right?
Shoppers Drug Mart. That's one of my favorite. Shoppers Drug Mart blue team.
Yeah.
That's a Andyism highlight.
Yeah, but that would definitely deter me. But if there was deter,
yeah.
So as long as you have some decent, like, the players are decent, because they're decent on the other side too. They're not excellent. Most of the top guys are gone. So it's like, so that's what I would be looking at, is the development. I mean, I'd be looking at that.
Yeah, so let me sharpen up a couple things. I'm gonna go back to that in 1 second. I want to just do a little backtrack onto the junior C thing too, for example, for a minute, just to clarify that, because there's a lot of kids that still want to go to junior C and do that, and a lot of kids that have a really great time playing junior C because it's fun. Um, so two things. One, when you say it's not the best or the same level of development, give me like a couple more specifics on why, and then why is it a little bit different for goalies? Because I also do agree it's a little bit different for goalies.
So let me start with the goalies first. Different for goalies because you always give goalies a longer leash to develop. So a goalie that's, let's say, if you're 16 years old, Brett Brochu played Junior C, for example, right? Great goalie, great kid. But what a great kid, by the way. Had when he was at our camp a couple weeks ago. I've known him for a long time, but I've never really, as an adult, never had a really good chance to sit down and talk to him. And we just had some great conversations. And this is why I would say someone like him, it would work too. He's so dialed in, right? So there's a kid that would at 16 years old, would it benefit him to play U18, playing against kids his own age, or playing at the junior level where you can maybe AP with a Jr.B team. That's what he did, right? And in London, I believe at the time, London Knights. Anyways, but he played Jr.C and he won the games for them. So Jr.C at the time, not at the time, it goes up to 21 years old. So if you're a 16-year-old goalie and you play against guys that can rip pucks, shoot pucks, maybe they're not coming off as quick, but you're still going to get some guys that are good. A little bit more systems, probably, I would think, in Junior C than there would be in midget. A little bit more structure, and you're facing harder shots a lot of the time, and it's that would be the development. I would say that's a good development for goalie. Not necessarily the best. I'm saying depending on the person, I wouldn't be totally opposed to that. Because if you're shutting guys out all the time, you're a pretty good goalie.
So it's like the combination of the shots that you get to face plus that the fact that you get the ice time.
Yeah.
Whereas,
yeah.
if you're a player,
yeah.
now,
well, and then the last thing I would say about that, though, and this is what I would say to anybody. Now looking back at how Brett approaches the game, and I don't know if he was exactly like that at 16 or 17, but he was always a very good goalie, and he approaches the game business-like. So being a 16-year-old kid playing in a junior C environment, I could see where he was like, because even in our camp, he was in his own world. He treats he treats every session like it's his life. Whether it was the practice that we had, like the pregame practice, he had a routine to stretch, and he was in his own head, focus, focus, focus. So if he was doing even remotely anything like that in Junior C, then the distractions around him weren't going to get to him. It didn't matter. He'd go to the rink, do his thing, and go home. So he wasn't going to get caught in the Junior C trap of what the older guys doing older things, doing right. So I could see where that was a benefit to him. If your mind is not that focused on being a good player, and you can and you can eliminate the distractions of Junior C, then maybe it would be better. But that's typically not how most players are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. So for the goalies, the combination of you get to play a lot.
Yeah.
When if you're get to be the starting goalie as a 16-year-old or play a lot of the games.
Yeah. And then just shots. Like I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds. Like, and if you look at the trajectory of most goalies, like we have a couple here, like one in Guelph that is a local boy and he's signed. But when they draft him, it wasn't for this year. Yeah. Typically, it's not for this year. It's usually for 2-3 years away.
3, yeah.
So that's so you got time to develop.
Right. So if I flip that to the players, right, and that individual mindset is very important, I think, as well for a Junior C player. Like I have 2 examples in my head right now. One of them, two of them played. They both played Junior C last year. One of them, I knew going into it, if he played Junior C, like he'd be fine. The other kid, I had questions, and it's panning out to be kind of what I thought. Like one kid's kind of fallen off a little bit. The other kid is, in terms of how dialed in they are, the other kid is paying much more attention and still seems like he hasn't missed a beat. So it also comes down to
one's a D, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it also comes down to the individual mindset that the players are having, right? So that's super important. But if you flip that to the player side, comparing to a goalie in Junior C, sometimes if you go in as a 16-year-old, even Junior C, you don't get to play still. So you'll go in, it's not a given that you're going to get a ton of ice time. It's not a given that you're going to be the one that gets to be the go-to guy. They might still treat you like you're a 16-year-old in Junior C. So if you don't go in there and get the ice time, you don't go in there and get to be the go-to guy. It's really, really hard to break out of Junior C from a development standpoint to make a higher level after that. So, and I can't name barely any that I know of that went on to play college or went on to play whatever
Yeah.
after starting in
Especially
Junior C,
recently,
especially
but
recently.
that's like the extremes. There are always one or
There's
two
always
that get
some that
out,
go through. Yeah.
but for
Like Guards
me,
was one. Guards played Junior
yeah,
C first. He ended up playing in the OHL and playing
yeah,
university and all that. So there's
yeah.
an exception for
Yeah,
people
there
that
there
want to
always
yell.
are exceptions to the rule, but in
Yeah.
general, right? And then the other side of that is it's just, to me, it's the environment. Like, and to me, that's another thing. Like when we're choosing like that academy to U18, this, that, the other thing, it's the environment. What's your environment going to be like? Can you handle that environment? Should you be in that environment? So if you just look at an NHL player is more committed than a college or OHL player or Canadian Hockey League player typically. Why? Because they get paid for it and they just have to be, and they probably always were. Not always were, but the commitment level and the desire to do the little things and get better, like that's their focus. You drop down every time you drop down a level, the commitment level just drops, and that's why a lot of people don't ever make it anywhere. They're good, they're not committed in any way, right? So the environment of the Junior C thing would be like, okay, do you want to be a 16-year-old kid hanging around with 21-year-old kids that don't really have maybe they're plumbers on the side. I'm not being an asshole, right? Being a plumber on the side, or they're getting their degree or whatever, and they're hockey's just something to continue to do because they're at 28 years old. If you're playing Junior C, there is no end game to
Yeah.
hockey, right?
Right. So if I switch it down now, kind of switching gears to what you're talking about with the kind of academy situation versus U18 or one of those kind of levels. What you said I like, because I say this all the time, is what is the goal that you're trying to achieve with hockey? That's going to shape your decision making. For example, with the academy, I say this to every single person I talk to on a recruiting call. I say, if you don't care about trying to pursue something at a higher level, then this makes no sense, right? This makes no sense for you because we're basically giving you a taste of what it's like to have a little bit more of a professional lifestyle in hockey, right? Where you're getting up and at it every day. Like minimum, you're spending 2.5 hours a day working at hockey at a minimum, right? So, and you're in the environment with those guys for the rest of your school day, even, if that's not what you want, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. So the other part of it would be, which I don't even think the U18 in our area is particularly strong, but let's say you're in an area where U18 AAA is very strong. A lot of guys are still making their choice based on where are my friends or where are the guys that I normally play with, what are they doing? And that's shaping a lot of the decision making for other people, which I just inherently don't like because I don't believe you should be making decisions as an individual for you based on what other people are doing because you're not other people and something that's good for you might be different than what's good for somebody else. So one of the things that is common to hear from kids making decisions is, well, like where's he going? Like if he goes, I'll go. Or if he leaves that team, then I'm going to leave that team too. And the parents do it too. Like the parents are saying the same things. So what would you say, or what are your thoughts about that? Because it's not worth nothing either. It's not like it's stupid to do what other people are doing all the time. Like it is an indicator of what's going on, right? What people are doing is an indicator. So I don't want to act like that's not a reason to make a choice. But how heavily does that factor into your decision making if you're deciding to where to play? If you're in that U18, let's say versus academy, or U18 versus Junior C, or whatever the option is, how much is that factoring into your choice? And then what would be some advice for parents that maybe don't know the space as well, and what kind of guidance they can have in making that choice? All of that being framed with what's the goal? Like what
Well,
are we trying to do?
to me, I could go in a lot of different things, and you could say, well, this is better, and this is worse, and if this guy leaves, that makes sense because they're buddies. But then it comes down to just this is I'm raising my kid right now. We're at that point, and he's going, well, I don't want to play unless Seabass goes, and I'd be like, okay, that's fair. You guys are good buddies and your teammates and all that kind of stuff. But here's the deal, buddy. What do you want to do with hockey? What do you want to do with hockey? And if it's I just want to have, because that's the answer. That's the freaking answer to this. What do you want to get out of hockey? And if the answer is I want to get to the highest level, like I'm really serious about hockey, then my answer would be, because now it doesn't matter about your friends. It doesn't, because it's not like you're 12. You're 16 now. Now it's about making the right decision. and maybe there is no right decision, right? But I would make it more of a hockey decision or a development decision rather than a friendship decision, because, like as you said, you don't know what other people are thinking or what their seriousness. Everyone says they're committed, right? We see this in the gym. We see it with our programs. Oh yeah, like I'm all in. It's like you're all in. Well, if you're all in, then I'm like extremely all in, because I'm here every day and we actually do the work. You're here when it's convenient, right? You work hard to a certain degree. Um, so anyways, my point would be, the first thing I would be talking about is with my son, and this is where parents have to have, you're making decisions with them, not for them, with them, but you're guiding them. So you have to have that conversation. What do you want out of hockey? And if it's like, I want to be because it's actually an important question. Because if he says, well, I don't care about, like, I know I'm not going to play in the NHL. I know I'm going to play in the OHL. I know I'm not going to play college. Then what are we doing this for anyways? Right? Then it doesn't matter. So you're going to play where it's the cheapest, right? Or, you know, because I'm not here to put you in hockey to make you just freaking happy and the rest of your life. Right. So it's actually an important thing. So then you have to decide which program would give you the best development model. I don't care about your friends at this point. I do, but I don't.
But why does when we talk about the development model, like my thoughts, and then you can give yours. When we say the development model, the point being you want to try to get things that fill your gaps. So if you have the goal of playing at a higher level, you're developing a game that is translatable. You're developing habits that are translatable up to a higher level. So if you're on a really good team that wins, for example, like let's say you have the best U18 program ever, but the development isn't great, meaning you're not developing yourself on the ice from a skill perspective, off the ice, nutrition, video, that holistic, to use a word I don't like.
Yeah.
Development. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But actually, so if you're not getting that, then it doesn't matter if your team wins. You're not going to jump to a higher level. It doesn't matter.
No, listen. So Mike Weber came out yesterday. So for anybody that doesn't know who Mike Weber is, him and Steve Ott were two of my customers. They were best friends. They were clients of mine that I trained on the ice forever. Steve Ott used a phrase.
Played in the NHL, just so you guys know.
Yeah, NHL. They're both assistant coaches in St. Louis right now, St. Louis Blues. I'm saying this for a reason, I think. First of all, I trained them for a long period of time. Why am I telling you that? I'm trying to brag? No. What I'm saying is they're both NHL coaches now. They both were back. So Steve Webby asked yesterday, "Can I jump on the ice with you with your junior group?" And I said, 100%. You're coaching the NHL. Plus, I've been with these guys for about 20, 30 sessions in the last 6 weeks. I'm done. Not I'm done, but my message is it's old. It's the last week. So Webby came on. It was a fresh breath of fresh air. Guess what happened? He was teaching things. We did some battle drills, this, that, and the other thing, puck movement and stuff like that. And Mitchie was laughing because it's the exact thing. And then Webby would look at me like, right? And I go, it's what I say every day. So it was a good validation, right? So that's like, if anybody was like, I don't know, because there's one kid that I've been working with a shot for a while. He just doesn't want to get it or doesn't try hard enough. Like he's a D. So now Webby just the first day straightened him right out. So part of that is what I like about this story is that that's how I train Webby. That's how I train Otter, all my players. And now they throw it down there. It's like, it's still the same, man. Still the same. But what was important about that is like Webby was talking to me about his kids play on a team, and it's like they run practices. He goes, but there's nothing to it. He asked the coach, he goes like, how is this? What's the great game transfer thing? What are you teaching them for? He goes, well, what do you mean? It's just drills. Kids can't play. So the game transfer stuff, the development model is what I'm saying, is within every drill, with everything, what's the purpose? What can you teach? So if you're doing a drill, like, okay, let's just take a simple battle drill. If you're doing a battle drill and you teach, like, what are you teaching out of it? Is there anything you can teach? So if we do a short battle drill, so we did one yesterday, and it was funny. Webby interrupted the drill and said, "Can I teach something?" It's something I taught yesterday or the day before. It's the exact same thing, but it was like, ha ha, guys, told you. So just showing how to cut off an angle, how to cut off hands, how to win battles, how to get under sticks, not over sticks. That was one thing. There was a couple other things that he just reiterated with me. But anyways, that's what coaching is. That's what the development model is. It's not skating around doing drills that we talk about this all the time. It's not just running around doing drills, or it's not doing the flow drill practice with no teaching. So you can have good players doing that. What are you learning about hockey? Because if you do step into the next level and you don't know how to win a battle, or why you're winning a battle, or where to put a puck, or what the defensive side is, or how to track, or how to forecheck, or how to do a power play, or how to have a mindset, or anything, then what was your development model? It's nothing. You're just playing pond hockey, or you're playing organized pond hockey, right? And if you look at some of the coaches or talk to some of the coaches, they don't have a clue, not a clue. So if you this is my thing. When you ask a question to a coach, this is how you can tell if they're good coaches or the development model. Even asking the development model, why is the development model better than this one? Why? And I always say this: once you get to about 3 whys or why, right? When they run out of, if someone doesn't have any knowledge, they have no answer. If they can continue, the more whys that you can answer. Not bullshit answer.
Yeah, they can keep going deeper.
Yeah. If you see someone skating in circles, that's horseshit. But if you, then your answer, there's your development. Then you know.
Yeah.
Then you know.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of my biggest piece currently, like in terms of it being a relevant topic that I'm seeing right now, is between parents and players just fundamentally not able to grasp how to make this decision. And for me, at that level, assuming we're talking about a kid that wants to move up somewhere better, the key should be what's the best development. That's what the key should be. Because if you don't translate up the chain, if you're on a good team, it doesn't matter. If you're on a team that wins, it doesn't matter. Like, people don't care if your game doesn't translate. They might come watch your team because you're winning. But for you as an individual and your ability to move on to a higher level, if you're not getting teaching, and it's not just on the ice, it's on the ice, off the ice, in the gym, in whatever kind of video you're doing, nutrition stuff, like all of that shit that goes into becoming a pro or a higher level player, if you're not touching any of that, but you're on a team that wins, no one cares if your goal is to play at a higher level, So that's the thing that I'm seeing right now when I'm talking to parents and players, and they're making choices between Jr.B, Jr.C, whatever. Like I have a kid right now, actually, smart kid. He's trying to decide between playing on a Jr.A team and playing on a Jr.B team. He has an option for both, and he's torn about what to do because he's actually thinking, I don't know if I'm going to play enough if I am in Jr.A. So he's like, it's nice to get the offer, it's nice to be in the mix, but I actually don't know if that's the best move for me as an individual. And whether he ends up playing Jr.A or Jr.B, I don't even care. It's just the fact that he's actually weighing the options and having the discussion. Like, smart kid, good for you, to figure it out. So I think that's kind of the message I wanted to leave. It's not to give you a right or wrong answer or one is better than the other. It's just ask the question and understand what you're trying to do, understand where you're trying to go as a player. And for parents, like, this is where, to your point, you're supposed to be guiding. You should be in a better position to weigh the factors and weigh what's better and worse to help guide the player. Because for a 16-year-old, like, I had a kid, like the perfect example. I had the kid the other day. I was like, oh, how's the skate? He went and skated with his potential team. How's the skate? He goes, oh, it was good. Oh, yeah, why was it good? And then we keep talking about it. Turns out it wasn't so good, right? Because he's 16 and doesn't know, right? They're not thinking about the important things.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. So you're the parents. So that's where you can be helpful,
Yeah.
Like, last thing I want to touch just for a minute is a lot of these kids are going to be pressured or pulled any which way by coaches, GMs, whatever. So me, for example, with the academy, I'm giving my sales pitch. Other teams, Jr.C teams, Jr.B teams, they're giving their sales pitch. And they still might not pick that player, but they're giving the sales pitch. So what are some of the factors that you would take to be good indicator that someone is actually interested in you? Good indicator that they'd be willing to have you on the team? Good indicator that you'd actually play if you were there? When you're having conversations, like, what does it sound like? What does it look like to know that you're actually an option? And how do you kind of gauge the bullshit conversations? Because if you have 3 different teams, 3 different people all saying how great you are and how much we want you on our team, hard to navigate. All of them saying that their model's better or that their team's better or their situation's better. What are the pieces that you look at in the conversations with the team, staff, or whoever across the table to judge whether it's bullshit or whether it's actually going to be something that's good for you?
What level are we talking about?
So if I'm let's say I'm a U18
Okay.
kid, I can play AAA, I can play Academy, I can play Jr.C, I
Okay.
could play Jr.B.
I think whether they want you or not, I think I mean I think you could probably have a pretty good idea. Again, going back to where kids have an idea where they fit in the loop, right? If you're a third line player and they're telling you like we need you on this team, you're the best ever, like obviously it's bullshit. You have an idea. So I think that's probably your number one indicator. I don't know how to answer that because like how do they know if they really want you? I mean, people are always going to say that, and some people who are sincere and some guys are full of shit, right? Like they just want to fill a roster.
Well, like what are the like try to give if I'm the kid sitting across the table, like what are some ways I can figure it out? Like what are some questions I could ask? What are some ways to understand or filter through the messaging?
Maybe it's like if you're asking from an individual. Yeah. Well, like what about my game do you like? Yeah. What do you like? Because if someone's telling you how great you are, like I always said this to my son, and I tell this to any kid that is playing at a certain level. Like if you do an interview with a team, that we're really interested. Like don't just leave there saying okay they're interested in me. Ask why. Ask why and ask why what you can improve on, because you'll find out pretty quick if they know your game, right? If they say, well, just if you continue to shoot pucks and get whatever, it's like okay, that's not your game. But like if you're recruiting me and I say like, what about my game do you like? Well, you're fast, you have really good vision, you finish your hits and offensively you're awesome. Like offensively you're awesome. And what could I change about my game? And you say, well, defensively, you're not really responsible. We can work on that. That's an indicator that you've watched me, you know me, you like me, and I can work with you. If you just say, no, you're good, you can fit on the team, and I can work the bullshit stuff, like that's how you can ask direct questions. So if you can ask some direct questions, that's my short answer now. Ask the direct questions. What do you specifically like about my game? How are you going to specifically help me? Because you have the right to ask that question. Right? And that's at every level. So like you're getting OHL or GM talking to you, yeah, we're really interested. What can I ask what you like about my game and where I could be better? Yeah,
that's exactly where I wanted you to go, because that's the only thing you can really do. Because everyone, especially if you run into a charisma guy, you run into a good salesman guy that whether or not they're a good or bad person, maybe they can just speak well. And like, how do you know that that's good or bad? You don't know, right? So the only tool you actually have is to ask those questions and like try to get specific information about you to see if that makes sense, So I'm good to stop. Anything else from you?
No, I think I'm good because I got to get on the ice.
Yep. Okay, let's go. Okay, bye.
Bye.